Your day.
Radiator and make sure that everything is working well. What are you waiting for? Chloride Exit is telling you get the right battery for your vehicle, and you can even call them, but I'll tell you how you can do that later.
All right. Okay. The how is coming later. The what we've established. The how in Abuja. The Senator for the Republic of Kenya representing the people of Makueni County is Senator Dan Maanzo, and he joins us this morning. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, and I use Chloride Exide.
You see? Now,
it's very reliable.
Let me tell you one thing, yeah?
Yes.
It comes with the 18 months warranty, if you did not know.
Good to know.
That's a good one.
They take 4 or 5 years.
There you go.
Yes.
Where you are looking for endorsement. Got it there for free in the Rio.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning because we're going to look at a number of things and ask a certain number of questions. The Member of Parliament for Nandi Hills was going to join us.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this morning we got the news that he would not be able to do so.
Yes.
But the conversation will move either way.
That's right.
Because we're going to be looking at a number of things around the pledges, promises that were made, and maybe some things that we don't see.
Yes.
But before we do that, Dennis takes us to another African country this week. We'd love to hear your interpretation of this proverb.
The country got independence in 1963, had a constitution review and referendum in 2010, has had 5 presidents now, looking for a 6th one in 2027. It is a country who, in June 25th, 2024, Parliament was overrun by the young people who are in Kenya. Right? A beautiful country.
I was there.
Yeah, a country of beautiful people. You talk about our diversity that makes Kenya be unique in its own entirety. Beautiful. The only country in the world that has a national park in the city. But let's go to the proverb. This proverb comes from the Kalenjin people. A cow does not give birth to things that speak. How would you interpret it?
You know, a cow is a silent animal. So in the first place, it means, you know, like, for example, you cannot expect water from a rock. There is what you expect, you know, from somebody, such that these are the fruits, you know, of the product of somebody's works. You know what you expect. When somebody works hard, you expect a reward. When you don't work hard, you don't expect anything, and that you expect things to be at normal. That nothing strange will happen, such that if the sun must rise from the east, then it will set in the west. And therefore, I think it encourages that you don't expect, you know, what is not naturally expected from anything. So you must expect the natural course of things. And the natural, you know, the way the nature works. So that we will not expect the sun to rise from the west and set in the east. And therefore, if somebody has a bad character, don't expect something good out of it.
On the money.
On the money. Kabisa. Okay, so we're looking at a number of things. A year to the conclusion of the term of the current administration. And a number of promises were made by the president. And it's actually has a slogan now in 6 months' time, because it's actually said that a number of things were going to happen in 6 months. Yesterday we looked at that. But, you know, we want to start in your county, Makueni County.
Yes.
Thwake Dam and Uma Dam.
Yes, Uma Dam is in Kitui.
Uma is in Kitui. We're looking at now Kambani, but now we'll start with Thwake in Makueni. It was to be completed January, February, March, April, May. May comes after April. It was to be completed in May 2026.
Yes.
Uma was to be completed for Kitui in May 2026. Is it?
No. I remember the last time the president came to Makueni, he said that it will be completed in May, by May. In fact, he will say end of April. April has come and is gone. I've been following up with the story of Thwake Dam because I know it for a long time. It was started by President Kibaki when His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka was his vice president. And Uhuru Kenyatta did the groundbreaking and worked on it seriously before he left. He really wanted to open up the dam, but the engineers said, certain things must happen, curing and things like that. But I can assure you, as a resident of that area, that's really like my village. It's not far from my home, and I've grown up there. I know when the river goes dry, after some time that river goes dry, you can't have water at that river. And the people of Makueni, Kitui, Machakos, and to a large extent Kajiado will benefit from that dam. And the biggest need in Ukambani is water. The people of Ukambani are very hardworking. If they have water, you have irrigation systems, you have pipes, they will be the next, food basket of this country. They are very hardworking. And even at times when you have better rains, like we are very blessed as a country, God has given us reliable rains in the last 3 years, generally in the country, and in Makueni, where sometimes we go for 5 or 6 years without rains. So they've been working hard, and the farms have some food now, those who worked hard. And therefore, the dam did not happen. Since Ruto came to power, nothing has happened in that dam.
When you say nothing has happened, this pen, I can move this pen from here, and I can put it here. Something has happened.
Let me be fair. Let me say very little.
Okay.
Let me say very little. This is what happened. The dam was, when President Uhuru left or retired, the dam was at 96%.
Okay.
It is still at 96%. There was an engineering housing program which was going on. Where it was left, very little has happened. There was the report is that the slab has been curing. The dam now, it's a rock fill. So it was, you put rocks across the river, a lot of rocks, hard rocks, and then you made a slab, just slanting on the rocks. And that's the science with using. So they said that has been curing.
For how long?
But cement cannot cure for 3 years.
Yeah,
cement cannot cure for 3 years. I'm sure by now water should have covered, and in fact the engineers should counter-check before water comes to that dam, because we don't want a situation where we have an accident or the dam breaks, because that will mean a lot of disaster downstream to a lot of people, because this goes all the way to Malindi. This river is what later on becomes Galana. So we really need to get back to this dam and get it completed, let the water fill up. I am aware, because I've been following up with the Minister of Finance, and I have managed to meet the Permanent Secretary once in a while.
So let me ask.
I know the story because I followed about the funding.
Yeah. So in your follow-up,
yes,
because rains, you've just told us that rains have come and gone. They've come and gone. They've come and gone. The dam is 96% complete. However, the process through which it becomes a collector vehicle for water has not been completed. So the rains and the water that has been coming has been going. It has not collected any water.
No.
So all of that has gone to a waste.
Yes.
It's interesting because we have a conversation with the PS Water later on this morning. So there are options. The money that has been spent has taken this dam to 96%.
Yes.
How much money are we looking at? Because you sit in a position of oversight.
Yes,
How much are we looking at that is needed to complete the thing?
They requested for 9 billion.
9 billion to complete it?
Yes. And
how much did you spend on it in the first place?
The reason is the contractor has been on site for years. So there's been a lot of adjustments, and every day the contractor is on site is an expense. Every day the contractor is there, we are paying.
They're on retainer.
I mean, why will you waste the contractor's years?
How much did you spend for it to get to 96%?
So far, 39 billion has been spent. And therefore, there were adjustments out of delays and contracts which went wrong, variations. And now they're looking for 9 billion, which I'm told African Development Bank board has now approved. The problem has been, African Development Bank gave its share from the original agreement. And now, because of the variation and adjustments, the government of Kenya never gave its share. Although in this year's budget they have put 2.5 billion, every year they put money in the budget. The money is never used. You know, you never get to see the physical money. And therefore, that's where we are with that dam. It's most unfortunate. I'm hoping now African Development Bank will release this money. Even when what they are put in the budget, most probably when African Development Bank money will come, it will be used under Article 223 of the Constitution, or there will be a supplementary budget. You know, right now, the budget which has been read, it will be implemented from August, September, October. The whole of July, August, nothing will be happening in the country. Everything will just go slump as they raise the money. So this money is going to be borrowed and it will eventually be paid back. And that's where we are with Thwake Dam. It's a very sad state of affairs. The president had made promises. He has not kept them. I think we are expecting too much from him. He's still giving too many promises. Now 2 billion for coffee, 2 billion for compensating people they willfully killed. I mean, it's an amazing thing. You can't believe whether you are in the same country, whether you are dreaming or it's reality. Every time I look at that dam, it's looking like a monument. It's like a white elephant. And as I said, engineers must really do something to make sure we remain with the original strength.
One then asks the question, with this promise, then the pledge that has not been kept, if the dam was today operating, how much of a difference would that be to the people of Makueni and Ukambani region? And what contribution then in terms of return on investment would the government of Kenya realize if that dam had been seen to its completion?
Now,
what have we lost as a people?
Well, we've lost a lot of farming. This dam was to take water to Konza City. It was also to do sewerage system in Watertown, Makintu Town, Emali Town. There's so many towns which will change, and grow. And more important, Konza City. You can never grow Konza City without that water getting to Konza City. And when this water gets to Konza City, this is how to find its way to Kajiado and the farmers there. Their animals. Every time there's a dry season, they are forced to move their cattle to Makueni and to many other parts of the country. So in terms of, that's why to be in phase 2 was the actual irrigation. In fact, downstream, there will be a lot of irrigation by gravity. You will be able to irrigate all the way up to Kibwezi by gravity. But it needs a lot of commitments. It needs a committed government. It needs execution. Because we can just put the water there, start getting crocodiles and the hippos to disturb the neighborhood, and then no one is piping the water for phase 2, which is irrigation. And I think you need a lot of goodwill from the people who fund us, and also you need to get the money paid. Remember, now we are going to borrow like $1 trillion to meet the budget. To meet the budget. And let me say that I like your headline today. His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka this weekend was talking about a monument to be made by agencies. I think you've given us the picture. This is what it should look like eventually when it is done. And I really want him to have this newspaper today so that we can keep it to make sure when this monument is made, you got exactly the same picture.
The thing that we're looking at is that Thwake Dam is representative of quite a number of things that have been promised that don't come into play. When we look at constitutionalism, that you're a senator, but you're a lawyer as well. So you, to understand this and how oversight then must be done. When the president or anybody with executive, leeway says things like this, what is supposed to happen next? When he is in Mandera and says we're going to build a road from all these places until the last place, what's supposed to happen next? Or was there a process that was supposed to happen before where they say, you know what, actually now we've been able to free the funds, Mr. President, and we can actually complete this road, and then you may now go and tell the people? Because if you've made a promise and there's no budgetary allocation There has been no public participation. There has been no policy agreement. How do you backtrack on some of these things? And I reckon that that's some of the difficulty that you have as Senate to now start to pick up these things and pick them apart. What's supposed to happen?
Let me say that before any promise is made to anybody, it must be in the budget. You know, in budget making, there is something called Committee of Supply, whereby you've got every single item which will be done within a year and its amount of money. In the event something is not in the budget, then it is put in the supplementary budget. Means the House will sit and reallocate at some point, make adjustments into the original budget. Unfortunately, throughout East Kenya, President William Ruto has made promises a lot of times not in the budget, a lot of time not kept. The first one is the Thwake Dam, because I personally followed it up, challenged him when he came to water, and he publicly announced by May, we will have started this dam.
Finished, not started. Finished.
Finished. We'll come and open it. We'll launch it to be done. It has not been done. So after a month, second month, I went to Treasury, because that's where you can know the truth. And followed up even in the US, and the places where this African, and followed what was happening at African Development Bank. That some people felt that they gave conditions which Kenya was not fulfilling. And for a very simple reason, Kenya had not performed its part of the original agreement with the African Development Bank. So we never did, and unfortunately, the promises continue.
What was the agreement saying?
There was a funding, percentages. So African Development Bank did their total percentage of funding. And now, to complete the dam, Kenya now wanted to borrow its share of percentage from African Development Bank, so that African Development Bank 100% funds Thwake Dam. That is my understanding of what happened, and they've been back and forth. They are still negotiating. There are all manner of promises that soon. Now they say the board has approved. So we don't know how long it will take for the money to get here.
Will the money actually come to the completion of Thwake Dam?
Well, ordinarily, African Development Bank is supposed to pay the contractor direct. I hope they are not going to remove this contractor, because when the president was deputy, he had his own company which he wished to do the Thwake Dam. The government gave a different company. All of them are companies with a capacity. They are Chinese companies. They have a capacity to do the dams. They do good dams all over the world. They keep their time. This was to be completed initially. The works were to be done in 3 years. So we really thought to be done before President Uhuru left. He personally came there. And the engineers advised him the timelines he was giving were not going to work because of the curing, which must have now taken place. So I really want the government to keep this. And I'm sorry, it is not the only broken promise.
Yeah, because, Senator, then one asks the question, when we look at Thwake as a representative of all the promises that have been given, and more promises being given to Kenyans, one asks the question, is it just a political tool that I can come give promises and move because I never intended to fulfill them? And how then do Kenyans demand that promises be kept? That if you do not keep them, you walk out? Because we just read a story from Britain where the promises that were given by one Keir Starmer are the reason why today he's resigned.
He's resigned. And that's why Kenyans wished that William Ruto resigned a long time ago. He has not kept a single promise. The latest promise is the 2 billion for coffee. He said today he's going to sign it. So we expect him to release the payment of the coffee money this week. The other day, you remember them promising to pay the agencies by end of last week. I can assure you up to today, no single compensation has been done Yet they have Kenya National Human Rights Commission, and they have an illegal secretariat headed by Professor Makau Mutua, an unconstitutional secretariat, claiming that they are following up some judgment in Kirugoya, which they have not followed to the letter. So Kenyans are yet to see more. Let's hold the president accountable with a compensation for the Gen Zs, and I'm hoping they are not going to kill more this week so that they promise to compensate. This 2 billion, which is being used to compensate people who should never have been killed in the first place, would have been used for development. Probably would have been used to complete Thwake Dam. I don't believe Thwake Dam needs 10 billion to complete. It needs much less money. It's only that some of the works have been expanded, and there is an allegation that there is a lot of stealing in terms of expanding the contract. There are some matters pending in court, whereby whatever the valuation, the quantities have been changed unnecessarily. In fact, one matter which I went to court, I was challenging the court to visit Thwake Dam to see what is being costed as 2 billion. It was something which you would not spend $500 million, 500 million to do.
Yeah.
And I challenged the court, but the court declined to come on site, because you will see there were reasons given. The rock became harder. Before Thwake Dam was started, there was drilling and scientific reports that the sort of rock in Makueni is known. So there is no rock which became harder. It's just a way of stealing from the project. And unfortunately, that is what has happened. And I hope the government will be serious and complete this project. If you cannot complete Thwake Dam and Umar, which it has also promised, I don't think President Ruto will ever complete any project, including these roads. Even there was the Americans were already long time ago to fund and work on the dual carriage from Mombasa to Nairobi. Instead, the Chinese are now working on dual carriage towards Naivasha and towards the western part of Kenya. I have no problem with that. I believe the two should have been done because Kenyans have suffered enough. And I have been to that road where they are working on. And when you go there a month later, you can see it's the same small effort being made. At least something is seen to be happening. And I hope it's going to be done for real. All that I think, in my opinion, President Ruto wants is to make very many promises, make Kenyans have expectation, get re-elected, and never complete, any of these things. I will not be surprised. Thwake Dam may take quite a while before it is completed.
The folks who operate in societal circles, especially around money and the economy, tell us about budgeted corruption, planned corruption, that you can come up with a project in order to have some of that money diverted. Again, I'm going to come back to U.S. Senate. You see the flows of this money. The Auditor General sends her reports in as much as making them public, also to oversight bodies. You see this money, or in this case, lack of it. How then, from an accountability point of view, do we keep folks accountable? Beyond the vote, which everybody tells Kenyans that you must go and vote and then vote for integrity, this thing where the Auditor General comes and says, look at this money, actually, or in this case, look where this money is supposed to be and it is not. How do you deal with that once and for all? Because the question is, who's going to have actual bite and not just bark when it comes to monies that have been gone? Because how do we know that 39 billion shillings, all of it, went to Thwake and still did not complete? Do we need to look at how much the Grand Renaissance Dam, for example, in Addis Ababa, or rather in Ethiopia, has cost? Do we need to make comparisons between a Grand Renaissance Dam that is feeding nations, not counties, how much it cost? It took them 14 years to do it, but we're talking about one that goes the length and breadth of the Nile. So when this money goes and the Auditor General says, hey guys, it's now up to you, Parliament, to figure out what's going on, who takes up that responsibility for accountability?
I want to say that it is true there are many projects which have been used to loot. There are a few cases which have gone on. I'll give you an example. There's a road which links Konza City and Machakos Town.
Yes.
That road was done just a few years ago. Today it is rebuilt with the potholes. There's a road which was done in the 70s from Mombasa Road to a place called Nunguni in Kilungu. That road is still intact, 30, 40 years later. But a road which was done 5 years ago doesn't exist. You can't drive more than 20 kilometers per hour. And, sorry, excuse me, I think when the editor makes reports on these roads and the evaluation and what was used, and if you use the same kilometer and you go to Burkina Faso, and this information we presented on the floor of the House, you'll find there's a big difference on how much a kilometer of tarmac costs in Kenya and how much it costs in a comparative African country where corruption is not being advanced and where they're checking on it seriously. Even look at the growth of Rwanda, Uganda. The economy seems to be growing faster than our economy. And therefore, when these reports are made by the Auditor General, then ESCC, Parliament, makes a report.
Yep.
That ESCC to investigate or DCI to investigate. So what do those two organizations do? The investigators make a report. In fact, somebody is charged. But when it goes to, like what you saw yesterday, some cases be withdrawn, then there's no evidence. There's no expert evidence to sustain a conviction. Even if a judge was to try that person, they'll end up releasing them because the investigative bodies, they work when they want. I'm telling you, if ESCC wants to prosecute you and jail you, it will do so for such a road. Whoever did that road and whoever engineers were involved should be in jail. Have stolen from Kenyans. But that will not happen till the day they want to. If the DCI want to prosecute somebody for murder and get a conviction, they can do so. But there are so many murder. You'll see good examples. You can see what is happening in the Rex Masai case. If some crucial evidence is missing in the inquest, what do you expect the magistrate to do? In the young man who disappeared in Naivasha, Odhiambo, if serious crucial evidence and the links are missing in the investigation of the Odhiambo case, how will he ever be found? And some people know where they buried him or they threw him. His body has never been found. He has never been seen alive. Some people are being tried. Don't be surprised if they all get acquitted, because some crucial evidence is not there. I think it is so intentional in the Rex Masai case, which we are going to wait for a direction because it's an inquest. Every Kenyan can see this is heading nowhere. And yet, you want to pay. We are with them, with the parents of Rex Masai at the memorial service. You want to tell them you want to give them 2 million shillings? 2 million shillings cannot return Rex Masai. 2 million shillings cannot compensate. In fact, under quantum of damages cases, a person the likes of and the age of Rex Masai will not be compensated less than 6 million Kenyan shillings. So you can see the government is doing a quarter of what would ordinarily happen. So there's a big problem in terms of how we are prosecuting our cases, how that sector and the wing of the investigative side is holding Kenya at ransom in so many things. And you can never find justice.
Yeah, Senator, you speak of lack of goodwill pretty much in delivering all this because you would look at we will compensate, we will not give justice, right? We will promise Thwake Dam will be completed, we will not do it. We will come and promise another road and we will not do it. There is no intention in seeing the completion of all these projects and also just dispensing of justice to say that these are the promises we gave, this is what we've done, this is the progress report, because at the end of the day, promises remain just being that. How do we fix that then? Both as Wananchi and even as leadership members of Parliament and Senate.
The best way to fix that means a weak government. The best way to fix that is through the election. But what do you get? You get people openly and publicly threatening to steal the election. They are telling you, we would keep the promises, we won't do anything for you, we will collect taxes for you, and on top of that, we will steal the election and rule you by force. That's the sort of, communication you are getting from the current scenario. And I think it's the most unfortunate, because elections should be free and fair. And that's why we conduct election after every 5 years. So that if you lose, you go home. So that the will of the people is determined. And you cannot determine the will of the people if you have all manner of malpractices with the electoral process. And I really want to pass this information to a lot of Kenyans. And I thank you for hosting me today. First of all, there was a very huge expectation of registration of votes. 4 million young people or so did not register as voters. The door is still open. Before this is closed, I will encourage them, because they have IDs, to go and register as voters so that they can participate in changing the nation. And secondly, many people, you need to go and confirm that you are still at your police station. Because many people are trying to confirm, you are finding you are in Makueni, but you are in Kilifi. And this is the time to do it. A lot of people are saying, the information I've gotten from the grassroots is that many people have been moved, from one district to another within the same area. Which means during, the day of voting, unless you have a car to travel 100 kilometers or so to go and vote, you may not be able to move, because the public vehicles may not even be working that day. And when you arrive at the station you are supposed to be, you may find yourself not on the register. So I really want to challenge IBC to counter-check this register and even to give people time and to make sure this idea of people confirming. You heard them say, if you registered before 2012, or if you never gave your features, you please go and register again. And this is sending very dangerous signals. But the cure to this, Kenyans must decide now in one voice and one accord, and decide a direction and take action when there is an opportunity. Please counter-check where you'll be voting, because you may not be there. And also register as a voter. It is still going on in the IBC, still open. There's no need to refuse to register and then come and make noise after 2027. We should live with what we wanted to live with. Just like the proverb, if you don't register, don't expect to vote. You must register so that you may vote.
So that you may vote.
Yes.
I want to ask, is there anything wrong with making a promise to the people of Kenya and then maybe having gotten caught up in other things, didn't fulfill those promises? What is wrong with that?
The promises are not being fulfilled for a very simple thing. All the monies of the budget of Kenya is being used to campaign. That's why the president is all over the world, is all over the place, is all over around the country. You don't need to go to central Kenya to send the money for coffee. Don't go and make a promise. Pay up. And the people of central Kenya will be very happy. Every coffee growing person will be very happy that the debts have been paid, because these are debts. And actually, we are paying stolen money. If there was accountability, you will not be going through. And the biggest problem in the country is accountability. That's why, and the investigative system. I want to say that when you present courts with facts, the courts will rule in your favor. If you give sufficient evidence, the courts will convict. I've seen a story today where somebody defiled a child, was sentenced in absence for 30 years, and no one has ever bothered to arrest that person and bring them to justice. I am very sure the police in Kenya are equipped enough to get that fellow from whatever part of the world he is.
He's hiding.
And I've seen many cases like this, especially murder cases, where the suspects disappear, you arrest the wrong people, you prosecute the wrong people, and the real killers are still around. And you try to push it with the investigative system, and you are frustrated. It's similarly, with what is happening in many things, in this case of the killings and the Gen Zs and the 2 billion, it is not about the money. We want the killers facing justice.
Yep.
They are known. There are videos. If a few people had been arrested and charged, then you may want to accept the money.
Yes.
Because the killer of Rex Masai is in jail for life. Then you can accept the money. But if the killer will never be arrested, and they are the same people planning to kill on Thursday. Not even that now. The government has gone on to hire goons to replace the police. I mean, a church was raided by people who are known by face. The attack of the senator in Kisumu. Then the minister in charge of Interior says, I have information these people have escaped to a neighboring country. We have enough networks to get that person where they've gone in the neighboring country. They are living with. They are communicating with. They are still communicating at home. So you can reach them. It is easier to return Mother Karua from Tanzania and from Uganda than to go and bring a killer from Uganda. Wow. I mean, it's a frustrating situation, and that's why we are telling Kenyans, don't just sit there. Do something, because it touches on all of us. When there are mandamanos, business suffer everywhere. You don't go to work. And I really want to say, if we had we can have peaceful demonstrations in Kenya. Yeah. But it is the police who provoke Kenyans now to arm themselves with stones, to block roads and to do all manner of things, because we've been treated badly. I can assure you, when the Gen Zs came to streets, the doctors, the lawyers, they meant well. And they would have done their demonstration and gone home. But did Parliament listen? No. Did the President William Ruto listen? No. Till Parliament was overrun. Then he said, sorry, some people have misadvised me. We are going to delete the whole of this finance bill. Why did you not delete it an hour before Parliament was raided? The President should have gone and issued a public, speech. And I can assure you the demonstrations would have ended.
Which he can do.
Which he can do. Senator. And he knew that from morning. He knew that 2 days before. Why was he doing it when they told him, now, sign the bill and we'll be with you at State House? Yeah. So this sort of arrogance, and we have seen it. And instead of developing the country, you are busy abusing other people. You are busy telling them they have done nothing. President Ruto has been in elected politics since 1997. So, and he has only been president for 4 years. I want to tell him there's nothing to show for being president for 4 years. It is too little, too late.
Senator, if I make a promise and do not fulfill it, I make pledges and counter promises and don't fulfill it, I tell Kenyans, I will make sure extrajudicial killings become a thing of the past when I'm elected into office, and that does not happen. Am I a liar? And that when it comes to seeking an elective position or coming back to Kenyans, I have no business coming back to the very same people I lied to.
I really want, it is true you'll be a liar if you did that. And it is true there are too many lies being floated around. There's too much PR. And it is true that Kenyans is a time they woke up from this and decided as a nation, it is time to rescue ourselves from this sort of politics and this sort of lies and misuse of, these people are lied to us. Every day they are misusing our taxes. Every day they are misappropriating our money. I have said the budget to the president's office should be slashed by 3/4. President Kibaki never kept on moving around. In fact, I don't remember him going to Thwake Road other than for the opening of a completed road. He never went to launch it. People saw works and many other things he did during his time. Similarly with the President Uhuru Kenyatta, when he was doing the new railway line, the railway gauge, and when he was doing the bypasses in town. It is not every day he was there. He let people go to work, inspected once, in a very lean manner, not carrying the whole government machinery, to moving it is very expensive. He will just you move with 2 helicopters belonging to the army and end up back in State House in the evening, and he has launched and he has assessed and he knows the progress. So we have a problem currently. And that's why we are telling Kenyans not to take this threat of stealing elections lightly. Confirm you are still registered where you registered. Confirm that, make sure you go and register and show up to vote and protect the vote, because you can vote. And then, when we are voting, there is clerk number 1 to clerk number 6. There is a presiding officer and deputy presiding officer.
Yeah.
Those 8 people, I am sure, with these young people participating in the election, still some places they collude and are able to vote for the dead, and the people are not there. And for the ones who are selling their IDs, please don't sell your ID, because there are people moving around in the country buying IDs.
Yep.
It means then you will not be able to vote because you don't have your ID. And it means wherever that ID has gone, it's likely to vote.
Absolutely.
Or somebody will vote for you because you didn't vote. So please, we really need to monitor these things and make sure that we bring back our nation. We recover our nation. Our nation is being lost into lies, into empty promises, into abuses, insults to other leaders. When you tell a leader has no brain, and let me pick an example. Matiang'i was my lecturer at the University of Nairobi. He had a PhD. He was lecturing and teaching students. And let me tell you, he's not your normal lecturer. Matiang'i will teach you, and you never forgot the lesson he taught you. Are you telling me that person has no brain? Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is a master's degree holder of laws. Are you telling me that person, all the years he has worked as foreign affairs minister and been trusted all over the world, brought peace in Sudan and Somalia? When you have no peace in your neighborhood, you are in trouble.
Indeed.
Are you telling me that person has no brain? When Moi appointed him and Kibaki appointed him as Minister for Foreign Affairs, you're telling me that person, even Rigathi Gachagua is a political scientist.
Those are the questions.
Are you telling me that person has no brain?
And we end that this morning with a question from Dan Maanzo, Senator, Makueni County. Those are the questions that he's asking this morning. But the gospel, according to you, definitely is that protect your vote as you go to the ballot, because that's what's going to change all of this discussion that we've talked about today. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. He's Senator representing Makueni, the people of Makueni County, Dan Maanzo. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.